How long did it take you to find it?
It was sitting up here on the fridge. She had pulled it out of the freezer and then...
People ask me all the time, Carl, how many episodes of Jabber Jawn have you kids done? I remind them that this is our 104th episode of the Jabber Jawn. Then they tell me they've never seen a single episode and wander off and put funny-shaped rocks in a pile so they can look over their neighbor's fence and talk to the Persian cat that lays on the back porch. They think they've heard the neighbors call the cat Sammy, but they're not sure. If you've ever seen a single episode, you'll know our Cooking with Steve has been a fan favorite for years in the comedy skit Half Hour Nathan's Tour Van, where he recreates comical adventures from his life on the road, was nominated for a Peabody Award in 2024. I will, of course, have my 15 minutes of how to paint like a pro, where I, in under 15 minutes, instruct the viewer on how to mix paints to make colors. No awards or recognition in journals, but I do know some of the stoner kids love the show where I instructed how to mix different spray paint colors in a paper bag and then you paint your face in bright radiant red. We lost a few viewers over that one. Join us tonight as we play clips from various sporting events throughout history and discuss who would have been included in the top basketball team of all time. It's beautiful outside, so take your radio out and listen. Do good.
Three little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in. One frog said to the other frog, well, you better go get her. Two little frogs sitting on a log. One of them fell in.
I mean, it's always got it.
Frog, he sat and thought,
Almost
good
forgot.
thing they
Before I
could
forget.
swim. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Three little frogs sitting on a log. One burst into a grin. One frog said to the other frog, wonder what's got into him. Two little frogs sitting on a log. One laughed until he was red. Last little frog, he sat and thought, must have been something I said. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. Jabber Jawn. All right. It's a bad influence on me. You have to change your ways. Y'all. Oh no! I just found out that this is an intervention. I'm not. This is not cool. I'm not okay with this. Apparently. Hey everybody! Welcome to Jabber Jawn. I'm Nathan Moore.
I'm Kyle Hogg. How you doing?
I'm Steve Moore. It's good to see you.
So good to be with you. Welcome to Jabber Jawn. We start with an arriving song and end with a leaving song. I'm not sure which one I want to do. I've gotten really into this open tuning. Hear how cool that is? An open tuning, for those that don't know, is you just tune the strings so they play a chord without having to put any fingers down. And then, so that's a D chord right there. So now you can just sit here and strum, and then you can just add notes.
Like Johnny Cash always.
It's like what?
That's the way Johnny Cash.
Yeah, that's
he just
oh yeah.
strummed.
Hey, yeah, they would, if he had to change chords, they bring him a whole new guitar.
That's what I was thinking.
He had a guy, Henry, just that was his whole job. All right, when the B part comes around, I've written 5 songs in the last week in this open tuning. So I might forget how it goes. Brand new. I've tried 100 hats, And everyone, a part of me just wanted to be that. Even wore sunglasses once. Just isn't me. I love fancy clothes, but I try 'em on, I try and strike the pose. But even my tailor knows just isn't me. Let's just pretend my torn blue jeans and tattered tees are remnants of a rainbow flowing like a silk robe. Let's say I'm in vogue, yeah, let's say I'm in vogue. I've tried talking tough, puffed out my chest, said, look here, you better listen up. It's even come to fisticuffs. Just isn't me. And I tried bending like a reed, listening to what other people need. I've been selfless without greed. Just isn't me. Let's just pretend my nervousness and scattered brain are evidence of kindness. Please see through my blindness. Take me as I am, yeah, take me as I am. I've sat behind the drums, but I've lost count of the number of times I've lost count of the number of times I just twiddled my thumbs. Just isn't me. Now I don't play a mean clarinet or dobro or piano. Sometimes the ukulele sings, but I don't play a mean anything, really. Just isn't me. Let's just pretend the instruments are figments of our own imagination, and anyone who plays them is in the orchestra, yeah, in the orchestra, in the orchestra, yeah, in the orchestra. That harkens back to some of those old 45s, some classic early Stones influences and
Is that
stuff
right?
in there.
Early Stones in there.
Yeah, I feel like there's some early Stones influence
That's
in there.
interesting. That was an interesting take there you did on that. I like where you went with that because you were talking about your clothes and that, but then you came into that wanting to do good all the time, and then said that's not you. If you ended it there, everybody'd say, "Yeah, he's not that good." But you brought that in. I'm not that perfect either. I like that.
Nice.
That was cool.
Thank you. It's a fun one.
Yeah, I think
That's
a lot
a
of
fun one.
people could identify with that. On different levels, I know I have a little fashion problem.
Well, you're looking good today.
Well, it's.
Thought you were looking pretty.
I do my wardrobe shopping at Lowe's. This is the famous shirt that we rescued.
Turn his mic over. It looks like it flopped over. Pointing it left.
That it?
There you go. There. Yeah, I
Show's
feel
gonna
like
go downhill now.
there's so many conversations we had last week that off air that is a shame that they were off air because we have updates on all those situations, but there's no cliffhanger really in the show. Like
Well, and
this shirt came to us last week. Dad got it at Lowe's. He got home and it still had the security thing on there, and it's shocking that he didn't set off every alarm in the store leaving the place like that. But he couldn't get it off no matter how he
Well,
tried.
I was armed. I think some of them looked at me funny, but I just kind of waved a A1 at him.
All right.
They got out of the way.
A1. Which is anything from artificial intelligence to steak sauce to an automatic rifle.
Well,
in
it was
these
steak
parts.
sauce, but they couldn't tell.
He had it in his pocket.
A1.
He's got something.
He's got something on him.
He's waving it like a gun. I
And
don't
he's
know.
beeping, and I think he's crazy, so let him go. It's just a shirt.
But I took it back out there. I was just sort of shocked because I went back to try to remedy the situation, and the door's open, and there's the two big machines there that you have to pass through, and I'm like, oh, I'm about to take this security. This could get interesting. It was a
you're
scary
sneaking
little
something
moment.
back
Not
in.
scary, but exciting little moment. I was like, what is about to happen here? And nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't want the world to know that they don't really do anything. It's a placebo kind of security situation.
Well, the person that didn't take it off, and the person that turned it on to work didn't do that, so they canceled each other
All
out.
right, that's probably true.
That's
It
what I-
reminds me of something, though. Hold on a second.
Hey, where'd he go? Boy, he got up out of there pretty quick. So you went camping, huh?
Yes, we went camping. Douthit State Park near Lake Moomaw. Is that right, Flex? Is that how you say it?
This is so funny to me. What this is.
Wow.
Now, back in the day, I got this from a box of stuff from Edwin's house when he passed away. I brought it over. But what this was is you put it, it doesn't actually do anything. It's just a placebo security device. That's why I thought of it. You mounted this outside, and criminals thought you had a high-tech surveillance system, so they wouldn't come anywhere near you. But it didn't age well.
Looks like something
was
from
like-
Star-
If I stick this out there, I don't even know. I feel like that would encourage the wrong element.
It reminds me of the first time I saw Star Wars.
There you go. But in the 80s, I bet that was highly effective.
Does it
I think
squirt
it still
water?
could be
too?
effective.
Right?
Why wouldn't it still be effective? You just put it up high
I
where
just
they
don't
couldn't
think
look
any
at it.
modern day camera looks anything like that anymore.
They're more discreet.
Yeah, and they just don't look like that.
Is that the one you're taking out to the river to put up solar power?
It's-
Well, I would just have to say it would deter a crook if they were my age.
right.
He's standing out there with some A1 in his pocket trying to
That's
try
what-
to
I'm out there
fetch and rob.
fixing
That's what it says on the packaging. It deters all criminals over 65 years old. It's AARP special
Yeah,
edition.
that's where I got it, at AARP.
I think if you pay for a 2-year subscription to AARP, they send you that free.
Right. Yeah, you want a toaster or a fake security camera.
Mounting instructions included. Just set it on the fence. It'll scare people
So
away.
you just went somewhere? What was Lex asking you about?
Well, I went to Douthit State Park
What is
for a
it?
little getaway. Douthit State Park.
Douth? Say, how do you spell that?
Douthat. Are you more familiar with Lake Moomaw?
Douthat. Oh, is it Lake Moomage? Oh,
It's actually up near Clifton Forge.
well, that's my
where you-
birthplace.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my DNA would be all.
Oh, it's beautiful up there. You would love it. They got a lot of campsites. We got a little cabin, like a single one, well, not for two people, not like a monk's cell or anything.
Did it have amenities? Electricity, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was. Oh, the outside that they were all built I can't think of what was the WWC, like the workers, whatever, like one of those things.
Oh yeah, back in
Like I think they were all built between 33 and 42. But
was that the Roosevelt's Green
so, yeah.
New or his New Deal?
Yeah, but the insides are fixed up nice, kitchen and.
Oh
it was
yeah.
really-
So what did the kitchen have in it?
Just like looked like an efficiency apartment or something.
Oh, like an oven, stove, all that.
They have honey buns.
But the middle of the room was a big chimney. Then you walk around it, and their bed is like right up against it. So when you go to bed, like the heat from the chimney's like coming. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, it was really nice.
You might actually were able to use that because it's still getting a little chilly at night,
Yeah.
as hot as it is during the day now.
Yeah, built a big fire at night, sat out there. I never knew I was scared of black bears till I saw like 1,000 beware of black bear signs. And then for some reason I started worrying about them.
Eventually.
So you're sitting out at night with the fire, like constantly looking around, like how much noise do they make when they walk up on you?
Yeah, they need to put little jingle bells on all of
Oh,
them or
yeah.
something, tag them with bells.
But they got a beautiful beach and a big old lake. We rented a boat, went out, paddled around.
Oh, you can rent a boat?
They got they got canoes.
Were many people fishing?
I don't know. Yeah, not on the lake, but there's rivers and stuff all back there. They were all fishing in the rivers. Yeah. But the
Sounds
lake is maybe like 3 times, no, probably like 5 or 6 times the size of the one in the Stanton Park, and there's a waterfall, and we were like 3 football fields away from the waterfall, and Stephanie's like, "We're getting too close. We're gonna be sucked over the edge." I'm like, "No, it's not that strong of a current. Oh, let's go back. Let's go back." Like,
Yeah, do you know anything scientifically about that, the physics of it? Is there more of a pull the closer you get to the edge of a waterfall at the top?
Not till you get really close where it starts rolling over,
Right.
but not until then.
So you could get pretty close to the edge and it would be no different.
Yeah, you'll just have to go upstream a little bit. You just have to, yeah, it's not. Now that depends on the terrain too. I'm saying that about
Right.
a flatland. If you were in a valley, that would be a totally different thing, or the different angle of the land. So if you had a current like it was going downhill, yeah, you'd get caught in it.
Right.
But if you're just talking about
some
like
kind of
with a
V
dam,
under-
like
right.
he's got a dam, was it a big dam? Yeah, and then so it's pretty until you get to about 100 yards or so.
When you first moved to Frank's Mill, was that dam still a dam? It was
no.
never a dam when you were there.
No, I remember when I was a kid, they used to say people water skied on there from the dam on up to
Oh my goodness,
to
can you
my
imagine?
house.
But I bet the property you lived on that wasn't there.
Not the same. It was lower,
But the road was still there. The road was still there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So my land, part of that property was still there.
Right.
It all just went downhill. I remember telling somebody when they were talking about my land flooding, and I said, you look down through that valley, that whole valley would have to flood before this house floods. And 2 years later, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
95 flood took the house out. But that was a lot of water coming through there. So normally the water would hold up and just be a big deep
It's
hole.
amazing that hadn't really happened since, has it?
No,
Not
not anything like that.
Yeah.
A lot of places were ripped out in the sense that things that were holding them up. Like right now, you can't build out there where I am. I couldn't build a house there because it's in the floodplain. But back then, everything was built on the floodplain.
Right.
We just
Did
built.
the floodplain change because of that 95 incident?
No, it just was redefined.
That's what I mean. It
Yeah.
was redefined.
Well, I don't know if it, in other words, it hadn't been a real issue until then. So then they had to change it. I don't know what the rules were, but, like my house was grandfathered in, that most of those houses had been there for years and years. I don't know that there were new houses going up, so they probably had restrictions then too, but we were grandfathered in. But yeah, that was a big deal.
Yep, I remember it very well.
So You might know about this since you're a master of optical illusions, or maybe a magician might know.
Well, yeah.
When we were out there in the boat, like one side was the land, like the beach and the campsite, and the other side was the dam. Why does it looking out towards the open areas look like uphill?
Just on water.
Well, she mentioned it, and I was like, what is she talking about? And I looked, I was like, man, it does look like it's going uphill.
What, the dam? It looks like it's uphill
No,
to
like,
the.
well, the water's flat, I'm assuming.
Right.
So when you look back towards where all the people were on the beach and stuff, it looked like it was just flat water. But then when you're looking towards the open area, because the dam dropped over, so there's really nothing there. It looked like it was going up into the sky for some reason.
I don't know.
With nothing on the horizon?
Not like right there. It was distant, because the thing dropped off and no trees or anything for quite a bit.
I mean, it seems like, like with on the open ocean, you'd eventually sort of see the curvature of the earth, or like a ship way off in the distance. You wouldn't see the bottom of it.
Now I'm trying to think. If you're driving straight on a road, does it look like it's going up?
Just like getting smaller, not going up necessarily.
I feel like you could probably convince yourself either way. Like you chose up. And the more you thought about it, the more you convinced yourself it really was.
Well,
But if you go back and try choosing down and see if you could convince yourself, like, oh, it really does look like it goes down.
well, we haven't even brought up the issue of which kind of drugs you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, were you drinking?
Were you laying down drinking?
What do you drink? Like you're a second drink you have, the water looks like up. But one thing I wanted, all right, the camping was great, but what I discovered is dirty soda. Have you ever had dirty soda?
Wow, not intentionally.
Oh my God, it's the best. It's the best thing. We were just.
Is this a brand?
No. We went to the store to get stuff to go camping. So they had Coffee Mate, like you buy your coffee creamer, and it said dirty soda, one for Dr. Pepper and one for orange. And I was like, what the hell is this? Look, I was like, I don't want to put milk into my soda, but oh my God, it is the best tasting thing.
Wait, it was made by Coffee Mate?
Yeah.
And they have one like specifically for Dr. Pepper?
And one for orange.
And what do you mix it with? Milk?
It's just like a Coffee Mate. You just pour it in like to your soda. And it makes this like sweet, like melted milkshake tasting thing. Oh my God.
Intrigued.
I'm obsessed with it.
Never heard of
And this
such
is
a
at
thing.
a camping supply
No, we just
convenience
I actually
store?
we got it here in town, just the stuff to take up there with us.
But at a regular grocery store?
Yeah, Martin's had it. Yeah.
Martin's had it.
It was
In the
so-
Coffee Mate section.
Yeah.
So you're just standing there looking at the Coffee Mate thing, and there's a version of Coffee Mate for specific
called dirty
sodas
soda,
for your
yeah.
Sunkist.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Interesting. Well, definitely like a dreamsicle
Yeah,
situation.
well, that's what it's called. It says like tastes like a dreamsicle. Yeah.
All right.
But so that was my favorite drink of the week, and when we got back,
Did you put any alcohol in that?
no,
No.
I didn't want to ruin it. Stop trying to influence me. I can't hang out with you anymore. But then when we got back, we went to Marino's, and I see they have mac and cheese. Have any of y'all ever had their mac and cheese there?
I don't
Marino's?
think I have.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, I noticed it's on the menu all the time. I'm like, how good can mac
I
and
did
cheese
have it one time.
be?
Pretty good.
But I ordered mac and cheese. They had different flavors. It was French onion soup, mac and cheese.
What?
So I thought it'd be like some flavoring. It's a bowl of French onion soup with a big plop of macaroni and cheese in it. Oh my God, it was delicious.
It was delicious? It's a revelation.
Oh my God.
You're like,
Well,
how?
I thought it
Why?
was just gonna be like some seasoning, some French
Right,
onion
little
soup.
powder
Yeah.
or whatever.
Oh my God, it was
So it was French onion soup.
with a big
with
old
mac and
spoonful
cheese.
of mac and cheese in the middle. Of it.
Wow.
That probably happened by accident one night, and they were like, "Holy moly, this is the most delicious!" Put it on the menu.
The dishwasher was scraping plates.
Yeah.
And splashed up in his mouth. Oh no, that's actually good. Make me another dirty soda too.
Right, same place they made the dirty soda. Wow, hot tips. Boy, you come to the right place today to know your marching orders for the
no.
weekend here. You got some stuff to do now.
So Marino's has like 6 different mac and cheeses. So I'm not sure if all of them are that creative or. not, but man, it was good.
Wow.
Mm.
I've gotten on a custard kick.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
trying to figure out. Last night I actually made my first custard pie with a graham cracker
Are
crust.
we going to get a piece?
Do are you allowed to eat stuff like that?
Yeah, I can get myself some.
Do y'all want to try it?
Well, sure.
I haven't even cut into it yet. I don't have any idea how this turned out. My first experiment, and this all happened because of Nana's famous corn pudding. Did we tell? I feel like we talked about this, but I don't know if it was on air last week.
I don't either.
We got to quit talking off air. From now on, let's only talk
sit
on
there.
YouTube, okay? Because I keep it every time we hang out and we start being funny or telling something poignant. I'm just like, what a waste! What a waste!
I wish
We'll
you hadn't
never
even
be
told
able
me
to.
that.
We'll never be able to repeat this kind of eloquence.
Well, I'll guarantee you that at least the last 2 weeks, we've been a hell of a lot funnier before the show than after.
Yeah, or right after.
I mean, it's like we were shot our wad or something. You know, it's just like
It happens.
it's really sad.
Yeah,
And that's you've noticed. I haven't been talking over here. I'm waiting. I'm holding on.
The minute one of you starts to be charming as you come through the door, I just head upstairs. Just ex-nay.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hear it.
I'll go get the custard. He's saving that line for when he needs to use it. Yeah.
Well, you know, every time Mom does a thing, she always requests that I make Nana's corn pudding, and which is Dad's mom, my Nana. She had this. That was what she always brought to the meals, and she always cooked it in this one pot with a beautiful lid, very ornate little ceramic thing. And that was her corn pudding. Well, I have her recipe, and I inherited her pot when she passed away. So I have the Nana corn pudding pot, which is very satisfying. So on Memorial Day, Mom was like, I want you to make Nana's corn pudding. I was like, all right, I'm on it. I have her recipe from her church cookbook. It says Nancy Moore right there with the corn pudding recipe. And I just follow the directions. But this last batch, I had to double the batch, and it was a little watery and stuff, but I ended up having a lot more of it to bring home that people didn't eat because someone else actually brought corn pudding too, which we don't want to talk about that. We won't even talk about that.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
And apparently theirs was a little bit more popular than mine because mine didn't look that good. But I tell you what, I got it home, and later that night I was eating it. And just by itself, not as a side dish, because as a side dish, it's just sort of a little savory thing mixing with all the other things. But on its own, I was having these bites where I was just like, this is such good. It's like one of my favorite things. I've always loved a custard, a pudding. I never really thought of Nana's corn pudding. It never inspired this in me, but I was just like, this is so easy to make, and it's just... So I went on to ChatGPT, and I was like, so what's the difference between custard and pudding? And that's where this journey started. And so custard is more thickened and stiffened by eggs, whereas a pudding is more thickened and stiffened by a cornstarch or a flour. So that's the big difference. So my first experiment was I bought these ramekins, and I made what I did was one of everything. I was just being scientific about it. 1 cup of milk, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. You know, there's one of everything. 1 tablespoon of sugar, I think. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Just see what happens.
Wow.
And it was delicious. So this time, my next step into it, that was just a little experiment.
So it was so delicious you didn't want to change it, or you still wanted to keep it?
Well, it was just sort of like a base, just trying to get my brain around what these things do and what they are. And so I didn't, come away with that with a lot to say about it, but it was just a good, healthy starting point. So then last night I just asked ChatGPT how to make a custard pie with graham cracker crust. And I've just followed what it said. And I'll be right back.
There it goes.
Yep.
Here we go.
Don't say anything too clever.
You probably heard the oven ding as we were telling the story.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of something while he's gone. What I could. Because you told a story about something exciting you had to eat, and he had some. I was thinking, What have I had this
What
week?
kind of serving?
You know what I
Do I have a pie
discovered
cutter
that,
spoon?
you know, you go
I
through
mean,
phases of things that you like, food and other things. Sometimes you just, like I was going through that phase in my life where I was hoarding and addicted to artichoke hearts. And now I don't care a thing about them. But you know, you go through different things.
We took some of those camping with us. That was a treat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I loved them for a long time. But and my go-to right now is a young, healthy banana cut up with a slice of peanut butter on it.
Oh.
That's every time I go through
sandwiches.
Yeah, we were talking about that. But every time I go through the kitchen, I just take a slice of banana and dip it in the peanut butter and
Oh, that is so good.
keep on going.
You know the thing, I feel like I've said this before, but one of my revelations in the last couple of years, always a huge fan of peanut butter and banana sandwiches, which I think you turned me on to as a child, but a hot dog bun.
Oh yeah.
I
What?
can't believe I went my whole life without ever trying that, but you put some peanut butter on a hot dog bun, throw a banana on it.
Perfect.
What?
It's a great thing to do with
I mean, what
extra
the
hot
heck?
dog.
I've been slicing them up. And, I mean,
How,
it is.
how poor y'all growing up?
So here we go. This is our wedding cake. Whatever you call that tool. It's a special one. Golden.
Would you mind? I don't like that camera pointing at me. I've
Because you're
had
an over 65 criminal.
since I used to go to those parties out in Hollywood,
Oh gosh.
they used to have cameras everywhere, and I
never
don't
gonna
like
work.
that.
All right, here's the unveiling.
Man, it smells so good. I wish y'all.
You can smell it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to build it up for you.
Oh. Now I have no idea how it's set, if the crust is soggy, what it's gonna look. This is the
All right,
big
so
reveal here.
this is one of everything. No, this isn't the one of everything. This is the recipe, right?
This is yeah, but it was very simple.
What
It's
is
just
it? A
like
custard pie?
custard pie. It was
No,
a graham crack. So I took a packet of graham crackers and crushed them up.
Oh,
added a
you made
little
it from
sugar.
scratch.
Oh, it's all from scratch.
That's impressive.
Yep. And a little sugar and some melted butter. Press the graham crackers into the bottom, then bake that for 8 minutes. Let it get a little golden brown. Then the custard is like 3 eggs. Oh, it's firm.
If you want some more,
It's just,
cook,
it's just milk, eggs, and sugar, really. Some vanilla for flavor.
if you want some more cooking tips, they have a great recipe where they just set some shrimp out for a week.
Oh, man. See, that was the other cliffhanger. I feel like we talked about it all off air, but for a good 5-6 days
Keep cutting.
here in the basement, we had this terrible smelling. We couldn't figure it out. And I told everybody in a text message that if anybody could solve the mystery of the smell, there was a reward.
And he had a lot of good suggestions.
Oh, everybody had theories.
that made sense.
Lex thought it was a gas leak. Joe Moore thought it was sewage.
Backing up, yeah.
Talking on and on about the little bend in the sink that keeps the gas from coming back. Oh yeah, we learned a lot. But later that night, the answer was, and the thing that was so funny about it was, and I know this from living in Texas, but it's a weird phenomenon that you adjust to a smell. If you live in a place that stinks,
Welcome to my world.
you have to leave it and come back. You have to leave, and I mean, there's this there are places in Texas that, I don't know if it was cattle ranching or what it was, but without fail, whenever you went on a road trip and drove through that town, you would hit it, and it was like driving through. Your car would slow down. You'd be going 65 miles an hour, and you'd hit that stretch, and your car would meet resistance because of the thick thing that was in the air. And you'd lose about 10 miles per, which was terrible because you wanted to get out of there as quick as possible because the smell.
I've got it floored.
The smell is unbelievable. But then you realize that people live there, and the people that live there have acclimated. Acclimating. That's the word. Acclimation. They have acclimated. So I would be down here working, and I would acclimate to the smell and forget about it. Then I would leave, and I'd come back, and I'd be like, "Oh my God!" Turned out it was one of those. What do you call it? A blank of shrimp.
Shrimp ring.
A shrimp ring. A ring of shrimp that Cather had pulled out after my dental implant, thinking, "Oh, this is soft. Nathan could probably eat these." Put it on top of the fridge, and then we forgot about it. And boy,
It didn't forget about you.
you
though.
just talk about a smell. All right. I have no
You
idea.
ready?
That one's way too small for me.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, you this one.
Gary.
God, that looks good.
I don't. The crust.
That's fine. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God. Why is that crust so thick? The crust, or is that not the crust? I don't know what I'm looking at there.
I don't either. I don't think it is. Yeah,
Well, it feels-
Oh,
tend,
yeah, forks are
It
here.
feels nice.
yeah, utensils.
This
are-
might not be any good. I mean, this is a first time for everything situation.
Oh, that one.
I need to take notes.
Well,
You in on this, Lex?
Yes, please.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
oh, that's
Oh, go
Oh,
to that
sorry.
other shot there.
that is very good, son.
But does this have like a name? Like any?
Oh, it's on manual focus, isn't it?
I thought it was auto, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Try it right in the center,
Oh man.
like
Isn't that good?
Oh.
closer. Yeah. Come on, autofocus, you can do it.
Oh, it would look so good if it worked.
There it is.
Oh, did it?
We got it.
Bam. Oh, that's a Hollywood.
Man.
Is it something?
Something good. Excellent.
That almost beats dirty soda. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm looking at, though. Did the crust rise to the top?
Is that the crust?
I don't see the graham cracker crust on the bottom. Is that what happened? I mean, what am I looking at?
It's the same as the water in the
Definitely
distance.
cut all the way through, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
In the dish, there's nothing in the bottom, right?
yeah.
It's
No,
glass.
but it looks like the graham crackers are on top.
Did Heather go flip it upside down when you were not paying attention?
I did it all while she was sleeping. She might have sleepwalked.
Well, it tastes delicious.
That is such a weird.
How would
I
it
really
rise
feel
to
it.
the top?
I really feel like the graham crackers all rose to the top.
All right, Mr. Moore, how would you explain that?
Well, it would be density, I reckon, but I don't know that it happened. But
I feel like it happened.
it could have. You put an egg, and you know, all those are thick, and
You need to take this to your next party.
It's a custard upside down pie. I mean, I really feel like that's what I'm
you
looking
know what
at.
you might have to do.
This is my crust on top custard.
I don't know that this has any validity at all, but maybe you have to bake the crust alone and let it
I did.
harden. Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's the first step.
That's what I was thinking.
What?
So you press the. It's just graham crackers, sugar, and butter, melted butter, and you mix all that. You press it into the bottom of the pie pan, and then you bake that for like 8 to 10 minutes till it gets a little golden brown. And then you pour it. But this looks like it completely, not just a part of it, but wholly displaced.
Yeah.
And the custard is on the bottom, and the graham crackers are on the top.
That's what it
It
looks
is
like.
so weird.
That was delicious.
But it does taste good.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see a time lapse of that happening.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
very
there's
confused.
no crust all on the bottom.
There is no crust at all on the bottom.
Well, make another one and put that camera up there.
Yeah, well, I will time lapse it.
Have
Well,
any of
Well,
y'all-
this is the starting point here. We'll keep checking in. I'll keep trying to evolve this fascination.
Whew.
have any of y'all ever eaten a baked potato before?
once or twice.
So, like, when you make a baked potato, what do you do? Like, how do you eat it?
Well, my classic move is you cut a slit in it, squeeze it. There's a very satisfying moment as it opens up, and then throw some butter in there and mush it up.
Like, how much butter?
A good dollop,
Okay.
and then smush it in with a fork, and that also makes sort of mashed potatoes inside the little natural
So you
vessel.
you sort of do it like when we went camping. We had 2 baked potatoes, and I'm like you. I slit it open, get it opened
You
up,
have to do a horizontal slit and then
Yeah.
push.
and then you put a little bit of butter in there. And you let it melt in there.
Mm-hmm.
We went, slit it, opened it up, put. It was 2 baked potatoes, half a stick of butter on hers, half a stick on mine. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
She was doing that?
Yeah, just popped it on there. I was like, and then she said, oh, you gotta get your fork and just destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
So we destroyed it. Then sour cream.
Oh, yeah, sour cream.
It made like we were making some kind of dessert on TV or something.
No
It was-
cheese?
No, we were roughing it. It was camping. But I've never had. It was good, but I was like, man, I would never use that much butter on anything. That butter
Unless you're camping.
would have lasted me for like a year at home. That's something else we bought at the store. Pre-wrapped in tinfoil potatoes.
Oh, my goodness.
Perfect.
Crazy. I know. Take camping. That was cool.
Apparently, the whole tinfoil thing is a little bit of a myth. And poking holes in it with a fork. I guess if you're microwaving them every now and again.
Oh, to cook them.
Mm-hmm. But you might not have to do any of that.
I did start. I've never heard of that. A lady at work used to tell me, "Oh, it's so easy to make a baked potato in the microwave."
Mm-hmm. It is.
No, do you ever make scrambled eggs in the microwave? I hear that's
In the
something that-
microwave?
I
No.
keep seeing, that's good too.
They're so fun to make. Just stirring
Scrambled
them
eggs.
constantly.
You put cheese in your scrambled eggs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I do like that.
Ketchup.
No.
You put ketchup on your eggs,
No.
Lex.
No.
Yes.
Maybe a little hot sauce from time to time. My little hack for baked potatoes recently is just coating the outside in olive oil and putting salt and pepper on the outside of it. And that the oil also like helps it cook and get crunch, but you'll
Right.
never leave a piece
Oh,
of
yeah.
skin on your plate again if you do it that way. It's so delicious. And that my other thing I really like on a baked potato is these little salad topping crunchies. It's like a little plastic
Right.
bottle of salad topping, like
Wow.
Bacos and
Right.
sunflower. I don't know, like some kind of seeds and stuff. But that little sprinkled crunch on top of the baked potato.
Knowing you, the way you cook, I think you'd make a baked potato and the crust would be on the inside.
Somehow or another,
It
the
would be-
skin would be on the inside.
Up and raw, like a cooked potato with a skin in the middle. How'd that happen? I don't know.
I
just
really
put it
don't
in there.
know. There's something about our oven.
I split it open, I pulled the skin out and wrapped it around the outside.
It's just the weirdest thing. That is what happened. You can see it right there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't see it.
You know, geologists
And it's
and,
thick, this man. That's nice.
and somehow or another there's dinosaur fossils in that between the two layers. It's very very strange.
I think you can tell the age of it by counting the
right.
Did you ever have to teach that? We had to like, you'd give like a test tube full of different different, I don't know what they were, dirt and rocks and all that stuff.
And do what?
It was like you had to like determine the layers of the earth or something.
It's a vague memory.
I
you're
messed that up.
Unlodging.
I remember the science teacher was so disappointed in me because I think I dropped it or did something wrong.
I guess that would have been a biology thing, but I do
I'm not
remember
sure.
us
I'm
getting.
not visualizing
So
what
like,
we're talking
like he
about.
passes out like a test tube and it's got different sediment,
Different layers.
and you have to like determine the different layers. There's some kind of test you can do by burning it, or it was something we had to do.
Yeah, it's a very vague memory, but you are dislodging some kind of memory in there.
you did it. You said, "This tastes delicious. Everybody come over here and taste it." This is custard.
J-Dot says, maybe let the pre-baked crust and everything cool before combining. It might have been, I mean, I might have hurried that a little bit. Maybe it was still warm and the custard was cold.
But how would it rise to the top?
I mean, if it floats, like if when I poured the custard in, it just sort of all lost its gravity or whatever.
But it's nice and
then
smooth
just,
and even.
like I imagine a graham cracker would float to the top of a glass of milk.
You know what else floats?
And it might have just all
A
dislodged.
witch.
A duck. Penn from Penn and Teller lost something like 75 pounds on an all potato diet.
Wow.
Ugh.
All potato diet, like unseasoned, unflavored potatoes, just raw, dry potatoes.
You know what I was thinking the other day is, what I don't understand is, you watch television, you get these advertising, they're talking about all these new, like the latest one's creatine. And you know, and all of a sudden you can't live without it, and and then they come up with this new chemical, a new vitamin. I'm now getting vitamin D2. I don't know why, but I have to get that to live. I think.
Right.
And what I don't understand is how you can, from whales to Eskimos, I don't see how you can live up there in the north and eat nothing but blubber and not hardly anything except fish and fat and protein. You're not getting any of the nutrients that you think we're supposed to have. And Eskimos just live a nice life and they don't die or nothing.
Well, I mean, they just the basic act of survival is so much exercise. If you're talking about an actual
I'm
Eskimo.
actually talking about nutrition right now, though.
Mhm.
I just don't see where they're getting their vitamins.
Right.
The things that like one of the problems with vitamin D that I was reading why I'm taking it is it's made by your body when you're exposed to the sun, and I'm not being exposed to the sun these days, except
Same
when
reason I do
except
it.
when I fall and I can't get up, and it takes an hour or two before anybody get there. That
wait
happens.
for me to wake
but a
up.
lot of times I'm falling in the shade, and so it doesn't really work for me that way. But you know how that is. But yeah, I don't understand why I have to take all these pills that cost it our. Well, by the way, Mr. Moore, your insurance doesn't cover this, but they said you would like to have some, and I said yes, I would. And I bought a whole jar of it. And
I don't know.
but that Esco up there just ate a seal,
Yeah, it's
and he's fine.
I mean, in the animal world, you have like a carnivore doesn't just eats raw meat, right? Like does it like a wolf or something also like eat?
They'll eat roots and things, but they do primarily. A wolf will primarily be eating protein. But I don't.
Hawks aren't like getting their greens anywhere. Like
I don't know how they're I don't know how a lot of things are getting them, but the Eskimos were just one example. You're exactly right.
Right.
But
what-
eating the things that do eat those things.
Ah.
What's that?
You consume the nutrients that the thing, whatever if you're a predator, your prey is eating, is an herbivore and getting all these nutrients.
It's a multivitamin.
It's basically a multivitamin.
I'm sure there's a lot of truth to that. That's where a lot of it has to be, because they're not doing anything else. But yeah, it's interesting how you can get all those different things that they say. My observation is basically about what they're trying to sell us, all these things that we have to live, and they're just trying to make money for the most part.
100%.
I mean,
And
they're coming up with new ones all the time.
But it is interesting how like life, wherever its habitat is, finds either adapts or finds a way to get everything it needs from that environment.
It's amazing.
And it is amazing.
That's the most amazing thing about life, and a biologist studies that. It's just remarkable. I mean, you've got sulfur-eating bacteria.
Right.
Yeah, when you think you were, I remember on the Star Trek, Mr. Spock saying we were all carbon-based organisms. And then I realized, no, we're not. Some of them are sulfur-based organisms. There are
Take
sulfur
that, Spock.
bacteria. So, and so there might be a whole galaxy out there based on sulfur.
Had a whole.
And they're, you know what? Their custard stays on the bottom.
Yeah. If I'd made this in Australia.
Exactly.
The swirl on the top would have been going the other way.
Yeah,
We don't
and
know-
and the crust
We
would have
don't
been
know
on the
what that
bottom.
would have done, but you would have risen to the top.
I had a
Now-
whole shout. Oh, go ahead.
Was there a picture of this when you looked at it, or you just read the recipe?
No, it's all text.
I'm
But
s-
I will ask ChatGPT why my crust wound up on top.
I think there's going to be people that cook a lot that could tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that
But I
doesn't
do
seem-
think that's what happened is my initial whatever, I didn't do the butter right or something, but it didn't form a solid
Didn't
thing.
make it hard,
So
just
all
made it-
all the graham cracker grains just individually all floated right up to the top and
I
it
like
cooked like that. Now
See,
some
yeah.
chefs might perfect the art of what I've discovered here. That's
We might also have discovered why in the grocery store they have already made graham cracker crust.
don't tell me this yet. I should not know this.
Well, yeah,
They
that's,
also have.
That's why
they
I was
also have pre-made freaking custard pies
exactly.
with a graham cracker crust. That
Yeah.
is delicious. Just saying. Hot tip.
Yeah, you don't ever know you know where everything's supposed to be, and
There's just something I mean, the simplicity of things can strike you, but I'm just like, it's really just milk, eggs, and sugar.
Oh, yeah.
And that just and you bake that and it's a custard. And it's
Yeah,
like
it's-
caramel is just water and sugar.
well now what seasoning?
Something like that. You're just
Now
like,
Mom's
oh.
custard always had that brown on the top. Was that nutmeg? What?
I did put nutmeg on the top of this.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's what she used.
See, I don't even necessarily remember her actual custard.
Yeah, I do. It was delicious.
There was nothing she didn't
It
make.
was always good. The only thing about it was there were so many other good things you didn't eat just that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just found out we need to go to Utah.
What are we gonna get in Utah?
Drum G said there's drive-through dirty soda bars all over Utah.
You see, it's a whole thing. It's taken over. It's spreading like wildfire.
Dirty soda bars.
That's what she said, drive-through.
How about
Jesus.
that?
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Oh, someone's recommending Nana on Netflix.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna love that. Any chef movies are usually pretty fun, but that does look really cute. All right, we're on it. It's
What
about a
is
guy.
that?
It's
What
about
is
a
it?
guy opening a restaurant in memory of his
It's
mother,
a true story.
but that is all about serving family recipes.
He opens this restaurant, and all the chefs or all the cooks are like old grandmothers and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's one of those feel-good movies.
I like
it's
that.
Going to be right up my alley.
Me too.
The
I thought somebody was gonna write in and explain this stupid crust.
I think we might. I think we sort of figured it out, but it's very weird.
I'm sure
still.
that was odd, like to look at it, like when you were about to.
When I was just cutting into it for the first time.
Why it would feel like this?
Yeah, or look
From the
like
top.
that, and like the creamy custard I was hoping to see immediately. I was wondering why it was so brown on the top, but I thought nutmeg, browning. But yeah, it was very shocking. But I'm glad I did it on air. The story I was just thinking about is a story I learned from the telepathy tapes. Did you ever keep listening to those, or did you already get?
I'm about at 8 or 9.
Do you remember the elephant story?
No, not offhand.
I ended up doing a deep dive into elephants because of this, but I also wrote a song last night. It's a lullaby inspired by this. But there's this guy, Lawrence Anthony, that opened up a wildlife reserve in Africa called Tula Tula Wildlife Reserve. And apparently he would take in, like elephants and all kinds of animals into this wildlife reserve. Well, these people reached out to him because there was this herd of elephants that were getting into a lot of trouble. They didn't trust or like humans, and they were like being aggressive, and they were like, if we don't find something to do with this herd of elephants, we're going to have to shoot them. And Lawrence Anthony was sort of like how Goodall was with chimpanzees or whatever he was to elephants. He was like an elephant whisperer. So he went and was like, I got to try something. So he brought the whole herd to his wildlife reserve, but they immediately escaped, and they were really unruly. So he decided he had to earn their trust, and he went and just lived with them, slept near them, and after a few weeks, they started to trust him more and more. And then they finally went with him into the wildlife reserve, and they finally relaxed and started to thrive over the years. And elephants can live to be 60, 70 years old. They're just legit like that. I learned a lot about elephants through this deep dive, if you have any questions. But the reason this was part of the telepathy tapes was they lived there for a long time. They probably still do, this herd. And but eventually, and the wildlife reserve is hundreds and hundreds of miles. So eventually, one day, Lawrence Anthony passes away, and the elephants hadn't been anywhere near there for like a year and a half or whatever. But 2 days after he died, the whole herd showed up at his house and sat vigil for like 2 days. Just sat there, and apparently, elephants are known to do this, to mourn the ones they've lost, right, and to hold vigils over their bodies, and apparently they traveled probably like 30 miles or something, just out of the blue when he passed away, and came to his house and sat there for like 2 days holding vigil. And then for the next several years, every year on that day, wow, they showed back up at that house.
Wow.
And no one knows like how they knew. I mean, it's just a very fun story to think about. The lady that does the telepathy tapes, she learned this story from her father and got her father to retell the story. And she's like, my father is a very cynical man, very scientific minded. But there's this one story that really made him question his perspective, and she gets him to tell this story. And when he starts talking about how they would come back each year on that day, he breaks and starts crying as he's telling the story. It's a really touching moment. Tula Tula, which is Zulu for peace and quiet. So it could either mean hush hush or peace and quiet or peace and tranquility. So I wrote a lullaby called Tula Tula.
Well, I feel like I can identify with that. I can understand how it can happen. And here's where I would take that and say, what we're dealing with is the transmission of energy between an organism. All four of us are emitting an energy on different levels in all directions. It's coming out of us, and it's being absorbed. And so, we watch television, and we have that energy coming around through radio waves and light waves of different frequencies, and then you take it and transpose it and put it into a visual thing that sends a message to our brain, and we think we're seeing something. Mm-hmm. It's all been done by transmission of energy.
Right.
So when this gentleman is taking care of these elephants being a very intelligent entity in the world too, they're thinking about everything all the time too. Mm-hmm. They're coming up with ideas, and they realize that this energy coming out of this man is special, and they understand it, and that's the way you feel. Mm-hmm. So I think it makes sense. Now, what we're talking about, are emissions of energy that we're not aware that we're doing or we can't control or we don't know anything about, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. And the other thing is it explains why these type of things can happen when you talk about on the hill or so. The energy just keeps going out. It's not like it just stops at the door.
Right.
You know, I'm emitting my energy into the world right now. And if you can feel that energy and feel good about it, and you know how that is. We all do that. We all like somebody right off the bat, and later on we learn they're an asshole. But you know, but it's that energy.
Got to know them too well, did you?
Yeah. You can pull a trick. You can pull the wool over some people's eyes. You know, it's just. But you know, you're reading each other's energy all the time. And I think we're feeling that, and that's part of what I try to think about when I deal with people is what type of energy am I going? And you know, sometimes you just send off bad vibes because you're scared or you're insecure or you're anxious, you know, and then that doesn't work very well. But other times it comes together. But once the thing about you're talking about the elephants being safe, that's what, you know, they were responding to. This is someone who cares about us.
So it's palpable.
If they can feel that caring, then that's what they're going to remember about you.
Well, one of the things I sort of object to with the framing of some of the telepathy tapes is and I understand why they're going there and why they feel that way, but the way they keep on talking about this materialist worldview versus the worldview they're proposing. They're saying that science is so caught up in the material world and like how the brain, like it's all happening in the brain and synapses and stuff like that. But I feel like that if the telepathy that I want to believe is true, there's a material explanation for it.
Well, I just gave you one.
Right, that we just don't understand it yet. That's like saying, like back when someone first proposed germs existed, the reason the scientific community didn't accept it is because they were stuck in this materialist worldview. And the person saying, no, there's these invisible things, like that was a mystical thing. But it wasn't. Like, we just couldn't see them yet. Once we could see them, or once we did experiments, like it wasn't like, oh, the mystical people were right. No, germs exist. Like, but back then when you couldn't see them, it was all just an abstract conversation. Like, no, there's these things we can't see.
I agree completely. We're talking about the ability to study something. A scientist you got to have the tools to study something.
Right.
And if you can't study, if you have a nonverbal child, how do you communicate with them? And then recently we've had this way with the typing and that type of thing where we've been able to actually get in there and find out. But until then, we couldn't do that. So how could you come up with any workable theory if you don't have any data at all? So there's, you know, and the whole thing about science is it's based on a controlled experimental approach to a problem. Well, there are too many problems out there that don't have, because what you have to do to get a controlled experiment is test for one thing and have everything else be a control. And if you change two things, if there's two things or three things, your experiment doesn't work because you don't know how much is doing one or how much of one and how much of another. So you're not doing a controlled experiment. So then they're saying, this is where I think you were heading to the idea, they're saying, well, the scientists won't study it. Well, no, I'm sorry, we couldn't study it. It's not that we didn't think that there was something happening, but we didn't know. And we didn't even know anything was happening because they were nonverbal.
Right.
So that's part of where I was coming from with it. I think they're right in that we haven't studied it, but that was because we didn't have the ability to study. It wasn't because we didn't want to study it, or that it didn't fit into our world material view.
Right.
So when they say material world, I think of chemistry. I'm saying everything is really, what's important about us is our energy, not our bodies. We all know that your body is just molecules and atoms, and it comes and goes. I mean, I don't have any of the same body cells I had 10 years ago. I'm a whole new person. Whew.
There's a classic philosophical question of that if you, have an old ship and you piece by piece replace every part of it, is it the same ship?
I don't know.
Like if, I replace
Well-
these tuning heads today, and then 2 weeks from now I replace this part, just
Right.
over time you're replacing each piece individually. But it's just a philosophical, it's almost like what's the sound of one hand clapping? Just something to think about.
Okay. Gotcha.
But our bodies are, the cells every 7 years, or that's the way I remember it from school.
I think so. So we're just passing through but the energy is there's standing waves, and we're creating good energy, and we can create bad energy, and I think the energy is where we are.
I feel like there's like when you first started talking about that, the first thing I thought of was pacifists, because I feel like there's been a lot of great pacifists that didn't just employ like a certain strategy, but radiated a certain energy that changed the paradigm as well. Like Rick Cook is a good example. Like he'll tell stories from working in the Jarnets or with troubled youth, that there was always like two approaches to like an unruly child. There's the creative approach or the physical restraint. And he always was a fan of the creative approach, distracting, changing the paradigm somehow. Whereas a lot of people would just go in, restrain them, drug them, whatever it was. So it's two completely different approaches. But on the other hand, Rick probably gravitated towards the creative, peaceful approach too, because his energy was aligned with that. Him doing it would be different than someone else trying his approach, because he put out this calming energy. He has this spirit that just sort of diffuses that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's hard to even talk about that stuff or quantify it. Why, like the Dalai Lama could stop someone from killing somebody just with their, and it's not just because of a philosophical belief, but it's because of the peaceful energy they're radiating changes the hearts of the people it touches.
Yeah, I think we definitely all emit a level of energy, and other people will learn to pick up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody picks up on different things too. We don't always have the same gears that analyze things, and that's why we're all fooled quite often. But you just take anybody. If you look on any television or any show, you come out, there's somebody trying to sell you something, and you'll see a reapproach. You'll see the casual and the hardcore and the used car salesman screaming at you.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess all of them work on some people.
On somebody, right.
But we're all putting some energy out there. But there's also that energy after we've stopped producing energy, and who we are as we just relax and hang out, and that's a whole nother energy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was thinking yesterday after an interaction with somebody about the huge difference between someone that's stupid and someone that's mean, where they can seem stupid, can seem really mean, and mean. It's easy to confuse those two phenomenons, I feel like. And someone might be stupid and you think they're mean, or vice versa. But it's really important, I feel like, to know, but I don't know how to tell the difference. How do you tell the difference whether someone's stupid or mean? Because if they're stupid, they
Ask
probably
them to
mean.
multiply 12 by 14.
I was wondering if there's just some easy little.
Yeah, because you feel like
Yeah,
this multiple
please spell
choice
this out
stuff.
before I say what I want to say, because I'm just not exactly sure how to handle this. Because if they're mean, you just want to walk away, or as if they're just stupid, they might need some love. I feel like that both can seem very similar on the face of it, but it's important to get behind it to know exactly what you're dealing with. And I don't know if your years of teaching or just your years of life experience, you had any insight on.
Well, I taught everything you could have combinations of those things, and you do get, I think you get. I mean, one of the things I did as a teacher was study people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things I enjoyed about it because I think the human brain is just so fascinating. So I was always studying kids, and that would be one of the things I would try to categorize.
Mm-hmm.
But stupid is a funny word because you know that quickly gets into a mental thing of are we stupid or just not wanting to know.
Mm.
And
Ignorance is bliss.
there's a difference there. You have mental capacity, but you also have an attitudinal or a cultural thing where people believe what they want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really want to get too far into telling them they're wrong unless you really have a reason for being there because they don't want to hear it.
That's one of the rubs of living in a democracy, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Like I imagine, like, because the big problem with democracy is now you really have to care what your neighbor thinks about stuff. Whereas if we just lived under a king, I don't care what you think. Who cares what your neighbor thinks if you're under a king? But if you're in a democracy, now it's very important what my neighbor thinks. And that's one of the problems of democracy, I think, is that now we really have to care what each other thinks.
Well, don't worry. There's people out there trying to cure that.
Right. We're working on it.
Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might work for a while, but it won't hold up.
I feel like that's part of the naivety of the liberal mindset. Is I feel like I was always grown up to think that. I feel like a lot of liberal ideology has to do with this idea that we're all the same, and if we're all just afforded the right opportunities, we'll all rise. But there's maybe this truth that they've been ignoring for a long time, that like, no, actually, there's a lot of stupid people that no amount of education or opportunity is going to change that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. Oh, go ahead. You haven't talked enough.
I saw on Medicaid now where they're saying like, if this bill goes through, people will die, and they're like, to be on Medicaid, you have to prove that you have a reason to be alive. Like, what's the Dr. Oz?
Doge, give 5 reasons
Dr.
why you should
Oz.
be able to
Well, like,
continue to exist.
You have to like prove that there's a
Right. Tell us by Monday 5
That
reasons.
just seems, it's like you have to prove that that there's a reason that you're here. Not you don't have to fill out a form or anything, but you have to do something. I was like, God, that's just. Man, some people, like you said, some people just need taken care of. They got them. Maybe they're not even. They're just in a bad situation or whatever. It's not their fault really, but you just. I was like, man, that's such a horrible thing to say. We've cut off your Medicaid. Why? Because you don't even deserve to live.
No one's relying on you. You're not.
You're not productive anymore. Right.
One thing when you were talking about Jane Goodall, I read a couple days ago Gary Larson of this Far Side comic.
Oh yeah,
He did one about her, and she was over in Africa or whatever, didn't know about it, but her people were like, oh my God, they were going to sue him and all this stuff because. So she got a copy of it, and she actually thought it was funny. So she said, no, you can't, because they would have to take it out of all his collections and stuff. She said, no, but you have to sell it, and all the money has to go to help the animals.
Oh, nice.
I thought, man, that's such a good thing to do. Instead of like her making a fortune off of it by suing him, she's like, it's actually funny, let's just make some money off of it.
That's cool. Now I'm dying to see that.
I can't remember what it was.
That was such a staple of my youth. Those Far Side books you got. I don't know where you first found them, but
Yeah.
we were hooked as a family on those.
Yeah.
And
Bathroom books.
Yeah, a new one dropping was a pretty big event.
But going back to what we were talking about there, I have a little. I know I have issues with the way you're using the word stupid.
Yeah, I'm just
It's
trying
not.
to.
It's not a good word for what we're talking about. There's just too much of what the white man did back in the 1860s and everything, trying to keep a black man from appearing to be intelligent by keeping him from getting an education. Fighting. I'm reading a book now about Booker T. Washington, and it's fascinating what he had to do and how he did it and how he pulled it off. And it took a lot of good white people for him to do it, you know. It wasn't done just by himself, but he had to overcome that idea that there was a conscious thing to keep black kids from getting a good education. And that way you could say they were dumb. And that obviously is caught up in some of this, but yeah, I just wanted to make that point.
What is the word? What's the definition of stupid? I don't even know.
Yeah,
I
see,
have a
that's
mental
part
image
of
what
the
it means,
is
but-
defining what we mean by that is the hard one. Because you know, because if you're really talking about, to me, when I think of real stupid, you're talking about a mental deficiency of not being able to process things like a lot of normal people like you can. Yeah, that was a funny thing to say. normal and you in the same sentence. I love that. Sometimes I just think I'm funny by myself.
What's mean even actually mean? Hateful?
Yeah, what does mean actually?
You know, that's another one you have to describe. But I think mean means intentionally trying to hurt someone.
right.
Why are you saying that? You know?
Intentional is a good word.
You're-
Great word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now and then.
Well, what's a better word than stupid? Because I don't think ignorant is right. I feel like I'm using strong words, but I feel like they're not terribly chosen.
Well,
Because ignorance is just not being privy to information or never being exposed to it. Whereas
Right.
stupidity is the inability to grasp it even when you are.
got you. Okay, I'll go along with
Yeah,
that.
stupid sort of does apply. Like, I'm telling you this is, I mean, I'm proving to you this is the right thing. Why won't you? It's not like they don't understand it. They just don't want to believe it.
No, is that what you think it is?
Sort of. Like, ignorant, like, you just tell them, you can just tell by the look on their face, they have no idea what you're talking about. You know, stupid is like, look, we both see the same thing. You see it, right? So this is what, no, it's not. They just don't want to believe you almost.
But there's also just the inability to even grasp the concept in the first place.
Yeah, like if you were like, throw some more wood in the fire, and I picked up that guitar and threw it in the fire, you'd be like, that was so stupid of you. Like, why would
Or
you
mean, or they
Yeah.
wait.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's really important right now. I need to know whether that was a mean or stupid move. Because
But
if it was mean, I am gonna.
But is that ignorant or stupid?
Or mean,
Well, mean, they knew what they were doing.
right?
Now,
All right, so that would be.
Ignorant would be like they didn't even know that it was the wrong thing to do. Stupid
It is wood.
Stupid would just be like, God, moron, that's a guitar. You don't throw a guitar in the woods. Oh, that's funny.
But I feel like it's it's such I feel like it's one of those just uncomfortable conversations or whatever, so we don't collectively have it.
yeah.
But it might be, I don't know, more important than we chalk it up to being for us to understand it. Like I don't necessarily have anything I'm saying or a point I'm trying to make.
Well, I have a point.
Okay.
You know what's worse than stupid and mean?
What?
Smart and mean.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
gosh.
That maybe is the worst of the, because definitely stupid and mean is worse than just stupid or just mean. Catherine and I had that conversation
There's no
yesterday.
doubt
She was like,
about
you
it.
know what the worst is
Yeah.
stupid but smart and mean might even trump.
Yeah, that might trump
That.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
But it's weird 'cause
Freud.
when you said that, what came to my mind is stupid and mean is like almost like physical violence, or smart and mean is like somebody like,
Could be.
calls you and gets your credit card number and you're broke after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking about what tools you would use if you were stupid or smart. Smart can use words very effectively to hurt people.
Well, whatever it means, I hope the person that he was talking to yesterday is not watching today.
I mean, I feel like it's just like an interesting I actually was thinking about what I was going to say next and missed what you just said. What did you just say?
I hope the person that brought this up in your mind is not watching tonight. When you said I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I'm trying to figure out the difference between stupid and me.
No, the
Yeah, he
person
was over at my house,
the
I
person that
guarantee.
inspired this definitely does not watch this show.
They're too stupid to
Yeah,
understand.
they want to. They just can't figure out how to. Or
They're so mean.
or they just don't watch it to be mean. But I don't know. Like I feel like, especially like in a democracy, like isn't it important to know like what we're actually capable of, or does it not really matter? Like I feel like as we go in, when we go into genius, it's really fun for us all to talk about geniuses. It's like, whoa, that's just crazy. Like, how could someone be that much smarter than everybody else? And it's very fascinating. To genius or whatever is, and we have IQ tests, but what if the normal state for a human being is not very smart?
Well, there's
Like,
a lot of
what's-
people like that.
But they're.
Oh, you mean like the normal person is considered not very smart?
Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to say we need a king or anything like that. I'm just sort of thinking out loud about this stuff because especially like with social media and all these things, like, I mean, we're not sending our best onto these social media platforms. And like a lot of these people, I mean, I just feel like it might be healthy for us all to realize that most people aren't very smart, but maybe I'm being weird in even saying that. I could be wrong. Like, maybe this is coming from
Well, from what I'm getting,
I'm just asking the question.
a true democracy, the beautiful thing that it is, the smart would not only take care of the lesser intelligent, but guide them and help them, and But democracy also allows for all the bad people to move up and take advantage of people. That's where it gets. But that's just like you said. That's just you have to deal with it. You have to. If you stop it, then you're stopping democracy. You have to just. I guess the good people have to be more gooder.
I mean, there is that threat of idiocracy that, like, there's. You ever seen the movie Idiocracy? It's sort of, back when it came out, it was just like, oh, that's just funny or whatever. But more and more so every day, you're just like, oh my God. And with AI coming up right now, like the what's happening to the education of the people younger than us, there's just with social media and all the disinformation and stuff like that, like where are we going and how can we steer the ship collectively? I don't know.
It's just I'm just thinking about now how mean I must be, because I'm sure
You're mean?
I think I probably was. I probably might still be, but I remember I imagine when my dad would say when we were little, go outside and show your brother how to throw the baseball. He thought it'd be somebody that knew how to do it, showing my younger brother how to do it. Knowing me, I was probably out there throwing it way far, making him chase it and laughing and stuff. I'm like, man, my dad's that's not what he meant. Like run your brother into the ground.
You're in charge out there.
For some reason, that's funny. Like ha ha. What did he teach you? Why are you panting for breath like that? I had to run all over the yard. Sometimes it's easy to be mean. Oh God, now I feel terrible about myself.
Now, see, there you go. You're very weak.
I'm sorry, brother.
Your meanness is so weak.
Oh my God, I'm so
You're not good at
Yeah,
it.
you're
I'm stupid.
You're not good at being mean.
you're the worst mean person I've ever.
You beat yourself up
terrible
way
at it.
too much.
But it is.
You just need to
but
practice
like
more.
if
Apply
you're,
yourself.
If you're smarter than, now I'm sure this happens all the time. The smart people can just manipulate not even in a mean way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they want something done, you can just get a bunch of people to go out there and do it because you tell them I'll give you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's not really the stupid people that's a problem. It's the smart people.
Especially malevolent smart people.
Exactly, that's what I'm
people that are
saying.
in it for their own self-interest, and.
Well, that's where I was going to go with it. Instead of talking about stupid and mean, we ought to just talk about one thing, and that's good.
Mm.
How good are you? Because a stupid person that's a good person, they're not going to do that much damage, I don't think. I mean, they can accidentally, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get in the way of stuff, and you know, they're just trying to get through their world and their life, and trying to do it like all of us the best we can. And intelligence is just a rating on a scale. But if you're a good person, but if you're a mean person, that indicates that you might be leaning towards being selfish and
Do you think there's
greedy and
any
all those
correlation or causation between those two, the scale, the spectrum of good and bad, and the spectrum of stupid and smart? Just to use base words or whatever. Do you think they're related?
No.
Completely
Not
independent.
well, they're definitely related, but in the sense that one correlates to produce the other, no. In other words, you can have all four combinations. You can have a good, stupid person, and you can have a mean, stupid person, and you can have a mean, smart person, and you can have a whatever the last one.
Right.
You know, but you know, you
It's
can
not
have
like if at a certain, you're so smart, you're going to do good because you know intellectually that's the right move.
It's almost like
it
there's
doesn't work like
there's
that.
difference between the material and the energy.
Right, right. Uh-huh.
Now, what do you think causes like, and I'm not saying, I mean, 50% of the world's this way. You work just to pay your bills. Why don't they pay you? These people have all this money. It's not ignorance and smart. It's just like power and no power. You have to go get this job. You have to work at whatever, doing whatever you do. Just come home and pay all your bills while somebody's making all this money. How do they? And that's the way, you know, society works. But like, why they pay you just barely enough to live?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like ignorance and smart and power and no power. Not that you don't have any power. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It is complicated stuff because you need to incentivize people to not just be on that or whatever. I don't know.
We're getting into socioeconomic.
Yeah, that's with only 3 minutes to go. I doubt we're gonna get...
So we better wrap it up quick. So so the answer is.
So what do we figure out?
So the answer is the smart rises like a crust to the top.
Here's the answer. If you're mean and smart, you're part of the problem.
That's right. And if you're mean and stupid, bless your heart.
And if you're nice and stupid, I'll pay you $2 to mow my grass.
J-Dot says
Good one.
J-Dot says my high school's motto was, if you live to learn, you will learn to live.
Wow.
That's
good.
nice. J-Dot says you need to learn how to learn. Once that clicks, you have a chance of becoming intelligently confused.
Ooh, I like that.
You need your own YouTube show, J-Dot. You're crushing out there.
I was just reading this thing today about people that were labeled gifted or really talented when they were young, and how they judge themselves now. And so many of them like judge themselves so poorly.
Oh, you can only imagine.
Like
it's downhill from there.
Yeah, they were like, I was so
child prodigies.
They were like, I was so smart, I didn't have to study or do anything. Then when I got in the real world, I realized stuff doesn't come to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I was so smart, and I told everybody what to do. Then when I got a job, nobody wants to hear my opinion on everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
keep it to yourself. You know?
That was a fun show.
It
Thanks,
was.
everybody. How about a hand for Lex over there
Yeah.
behind the scenes? The wizard, the man behind the curtain.
Thank you, Lex.
Last Friday night we were on the practice, and you know, I take requests. People can just type in, use the code to add songs to the request list. And I looked at the request list, and Renee had just written in.
It's her birthday today.
Yeah, same.
Happy
She
birthday.
just wrote in a happy song, and I was stumped. I was like, I don't know if I have any of those. So as soon as practice was over, I wrote this song. I wrote her this song. So next time. Some Sometimes you want a happy song, tap your toes, sing along, forget your woes, oh, they're gone for now. Sometimes you want a happy song, you can sing all night long. That's about the good son somehow. They say write what you know. Are you sure you want to know how that song goes? I don't suppose there's a chance it would make you dance. Sometimes you want a happy song, one that's not what you think, like an umbrella in a drink of a vacationing international spy. Sometimes you want a happy song, one that'll make you wave your glass, perhaps splash that mud from your eye. They say write what you know. Are you sure you want to know how that song goes? I don't suppose there's a chance it would make you dance. Sometimes you want a happy song, it's like a two-headed coin, not such a risky club to join, just let it ride. Sometimes you want a happy song, you close your eyes and count to 10 while your friends run and hide. They say write what you know. Are you sure you want to know how that song goes? I don't suppose there's a chance it would make you dance. It would make you dance. It would make you dance. Oh, did you dance? My eyes are closed.
He did.
Oh, man, I missed it. Open your eyes, Nathan.
I thought Lex had turned the lights out. All of a sudden it got real dim. I looked and he was going to town over there.
I opened my eyes, Dad was sitting back down. I missed the whole thing.
Well, that's why we do it on live TV.
I can
You
watch
can go
it
back and watch it
I'm
again.
definitely going to do that.
That
Thank
shows
you all so much.
That shows you how good that pie was. The guy him up
I
dancing.
tell you what,
Yeah, I need another piece of pie.
help yourself.
Y'all have a good night. I love you.
you. You got a couple extra steps there.
Oh, I did. I know he did.
Yeah, I got it. It got me. I got the dancing.
Happy birthday, Renee. If you still want.
It took a while to get. I had to prepare. I had to put my pipe stuff away. It was all sequenced.